Hey everybody, it's Cody with the final section 6 from my website, which is linked in the description box below. So go to it, read up on it, and there's a lot of extra information in there that I kind of skimmed over. I just want to get the bulk of the message across. Forgive me, I'm still recovering from my sinus stuff. Alright, section 6, Skeptics versus non-biblical evidence of Jesus Christ. Okay. Uh, the Bible is not the only testimony Jesus Christ having lived. You probably have heard someone say, well, after all, we don't know anything about Jesus other than what the Bible tells us. And that's obviously unreliable. That's what a lot of people say. He or she may go on to claim that little to no evidence for Jesus comes from outside the Bible, and that's simply not true. Okay, there are very clearly at least 19 early pagan writers who refer to Jesus Christ as an actual, real-life historical figure. I'm about to list a bunch of names that I'm a country boy, so I have no idea how to say some of these names. I'm going to spell some of them. Okay, all right. Here we go. Who is this guy? Okay, up first, we got Tacitus, a great historian of Rome. Suetonius, also a historian. Pliny the Younger, one of the leaders of the Roman Empire. Epictetus, Lucian, Aristides, Gallienus, Lampridius, Dio Emeritus, Annius, Marcellinus, Eunappius, and OPS, I guess, and Zosimus, Zosimus, in case you want to look any of them up. Some wrote entire books about Jesus, such as Lucian, Cleus, or Celsus, Celsus, the first great antagonist who wrote a whole book attacking Christianity. And then you got Porphyr or Yry, and then you got Heresias and Julian, Julian the Apostate. All right, Tacitus was the most famous of the Roman historians, born in AD 55 in the middle of the New Testament period. He gives a thorough account of Christianity, which includes these facts. Keep in mind, he was a pagan writer. All right, Christ, the founder of the Christian sect, was put to death as a malefactor by Pontius Pilate. Christianity began in Judea and spread in spite of Christ's death. Christians encountered hatred and contempt through the Roman Empire, and vast multitudes of Christians were cruelly put to death in Rome at the hands of Nero as late as AD 64. The Jerusalem temple was destroyed and the Jewish people were subjugated, which was a fulfillment of Christ's prophecy. Josephus, Josephus, also wrote of these events. Many writers don't take such a factual or just a view of early Christians. Celsus, the first great anti-Christian writer, penned the 2nd century book, The True Discourse, dismissing Christians. A Greek philosopher, he ruthlessly ridiculed the Christian faith, using his considerable gifts of learning, philosophy, wit, common sense, sarcasm, and a dramatically animated style, he sought to disparage Christianity. He combined a hatred of Judaism or Judaism, contempt for heathenism, and anticipation of most of the later deities and nationalists or naturalists arguments. Even he, who despised Christianity, never even considered claiming that Jesus Christ didn't live. We find no evidence, in fact, that anyone in the first few centuries after Christ even once questioned whether Jesus Christ was an actual historical figure. In addition, he refers to several details of Christ's passion, crucifixion, and resurrection. Although he perverts and bends these historical realities, he does regard them all as history. He does not in any way paint Jesus Christ as a mythological figure or a fairy tale guy. If he was trying to disparage the Christian faith, wouldn't it have been easy for him to write, as Russell or O'Hare would say in the 20th century, ha ha, the whole thing was a myth, Jesus never lived, he didn't want to take any of it seriously, or we don't want to take any of it seriously. Celsus, anti-Christian as he was, knew he couldn't be intellectually credible and get away with such a statement. Although he rejected the Christian faith, he regarded Jesus Christ as a historical figure. So you got one guy there already saying, that he was a historical figure, even though he wasn't the Son of God. So there goes that argument right out the window. All right. Pagan writers were not only the ones outside of the Christian faith to acknowledge Christ's historical reality. Several Jewish writings also tell of his flesh and blood existence. Both of the Gemaras of the Talmud refer to Jesus, although these exist only of a few brief, bitter passages intended to discredit Jesus' deity. These very early Jewish writings don't even begin to hint that he was not a historical person. According to Gemara, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, Jesus was the illegitimate son of Mary, whom they fancy was a hairdresser and a man variously known as Panthera, learned magical arts in Egypt, practiced them in Palestine, and therefore seduced and instigated the Israelites to rebellion. Was crucified on the day preceding Passover. Of course, these are obvious perversions of the truth taught in the Bible, but all these items and others are mentioned in both of the Gemaras, however you say that, the second part of the Jewish Talmud. Flavius Joseph was the most highly reputed Jewish historian. Born in AD 37, shortly after Christ's death, he wrote about the Jews' history and wars. He was also a general in the Jewish army. In the Iniquities of the Jews, Book 18, Chapter 3, Section 3, he writes, about this time Jesus lived, a wise man, if it proper to call him a man, for he was a doer of wonderful works, a teacher of such men who received the truth with pleasure. He drew over to him both many of the Jews and many of the Greeks. He was the Christ, or the Messiah. And when Pilate and at the instigation of the principal man among us, didn't forsake him, for he appeared alive to them again on the third day, the divine prophets having foretold these and many other wonderful things concerning him. The sects of Christians, so named after him, are not extinct to this day. This passage is actually attacked viciously by skeptics. Why would this man, a general and a Jewish priest, ever write something like this. Therefore, they reason it must be must have been some inserted into the book by some Christian writer at a later date. Yet not a single strand of evidence backs up this idea. Every single manuscript of the iniquity of the Jews, without exception, contain that passage. Every one of them does. So, silly skeptics. The evidence is all on Christianity's side. Let's take a tally. 27 books of the New Testament, 19 pagan writers, and 3 Jewish writers testify to Jesus Christ's historical reality, his flesh and blood. It's an actual man, not a fairy tale, not a myth. Okay, Christians indeed didn't follow a cunningly devised fable, but a real person. They followed a real dude, and there were, as the Bible proclaims, eyewitnesses to his majesty. This historical fact is a very foundation of the faith we hold. Okay, so there you have it. Not only is Christ mentioned in the Holy Bible, he's mentioned in a whole bunch of other non-religious books or anti-religious books, anti-Christian books, and not a single one of them referred to him as a mythological man. So I know a lot of skeptics were like, "Oh, it's just a fairy tale, rather just a complete fairy tale from beginning to end." Well, that's been proved wrong. So you really got to think about that. And furthermore, there was a story that I was watching on the news, not the news, but on Discovery Channel, I think it was, or History Channel, where I'm not sure what the correct term is. Whoever was in charge of keeping the records for the Romans back in the time that Jesus Christ was crucified, they actually have a log of it, like a little log. People they crucified. Obviously, the more famous ones too are in there. I guess they're got a special place for them or whatever in it. But and sure enough, Jesus Christ, well, his Hebrew name, is in there, and I believe he was crucified on the ledger, on the actual logbook, if you want to call it that. He was crucified, I think, don't quote me on this, I think he was crucified officially on paperwork was for like heresy, claiming to be God or the Son of God. Heresy, basically, what it boiled down to. And so you got that also. So it happened, man. It happened, people. It happened. Okay. You really just you got to ask yourself, what if? You may be able to dispute of some of the things I just said, or even 99% of it. Let's say you're able to do that, 99% of it. But there's at least one thing in here, in these videos, or on this site, that you cannot dispute, that you cannot put an argument against. And that is where you need to take a long look at your life and yourself and ask yourself, what if you're wrong? What if Jesus is real? What if God is real? You may get out and have a wreck tomorrow, car wreck, and die. Maybe if you would have lived and saw all the things in the Bible coming, like Bible prophecies coming to fruition, coming, alive, right before your eyes, maybe you would convert, but tomorrow is not guaranteed. This is something you need to, just take into consideration. Ask people that who are Christians, start studying a little bit in the Bible, cross-reference what you see in the Bible with science. Science actually helps prove God's existence, if you did not already know that. So, please think about that. And I think I ran over my time. Oh no. Oh, look at that. I got 15 more seconds. I gotta go then. God bless you. Sorry to cut it short.